That is one big pile of shit.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Movie theaters are finally back. It's been an unprecedented 2 years. We've had to make some huge sacrifices along the way, whether it's seeing your friends or, going out. And also, we've had to sacrifice going to the movie theaters. Obviously, since about midway through last year, that's kind of changed, but we can officially say that movie theaters are back because for the first time since the pandemic, we truly got an incoherent disaster of a film from one of the biggest film franchises in movie history in Jurassic Park 6, Jurassic World 3, Dominion. That title sucks, by the way. First off, I wouldn't really call myself a big fan of Jurassic Park as a series. I really only like the first one as it is a masterpiece and probably in the top 3 of my favorite Spielberg films. But there is not one sequel that I enjoy watching. I don't mind The Lost World. It's trying to do something different. I mean, that movie is it's all over the place, and Jeff Goldblum's character, Ian Malcolm, is nothing like he is in the first one. So you're not even getting a good Ian Malcolm out of that. But anything that's come since then, I won't watch, and I don't care for at all. To say that this series is fucked beyond recognition is an understatement. I can really only watch these new films out of pure curiosity, and boy, am I glad I was curious about this one because I witnessed history at the cinema. This is right up there with some of the worst blockbusters that I've ever seen, with Batman v Superman and Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'd say the last time my head hurt this badly from the nonsensical plot and there's no cohesive narrative that's pulling it all together. The last time I experienced all of this from a film was BVS, which was like 6 years ago now. Off the top of my head, I can't remember one since then. That's how bad this is. It really is something to marvel at. You get to witness a studio put $300 million into one of the worst scripts that I've ever seen. Unlike Batman v Superman, this film is attempting to end the franchise in more ways than one, if you know what I'm saying. So I do feel comfortable telling people to see it because it can just be so fun to see something so disastrous adapted to the big screen, and I pray that there will be no more. It's being marketed as that, so I mean, whatever. And honestly, I have no idea where they could even go from this point, and I would welcome any other Jurassic movies coming out because this movie just goes to lengths that I'm still stunned at. Like, I still can't believe I witnessed it. I will mention that the Rise of Skywalker is, I guess, the comparison here because it is the one that it was ending, in quotes, a franchise. Obviously, we know Star Wars was going to go on, but ending that sort of series of films. Yes, I think the Rise of Skywalker is terrible.
JJ, you want to dance with me real quick?
Sure, I'd love to.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1, 2, 1. So I got to warm up. Here we go.
I got the wiggle. You got the moves, I got the wiggle.
Terrible in different ways. Rise of Skywalker was pathetic and sad, but you're following the one storyline primarily. Obviously, it fumbles the bag completely when it comes to ending a franchise, so the comparison is apt, and bringing back characters for no real reason is also true. But script-wise, I can't believe I'm saying this, script-wise, the Rise of Skywalker made more sense.
At last, the work of generations is complete.
We will see you again soon, hopefully inside of
I'm
Fortnite.
running.
All right, off you go.
Watch me go.
Whoa, hands
Watch me go.
behind.
I've already mentioned that this is one of the worst scripts that I've ever seen, and I wasn't exaggerating. This feels like it's made for the dumbest possible audience that won't question any logic and will just let everything go past their heads. The entire film feels loosely connected, and I'm being generous with loosely. Characters meet up with one another out of pure coincidence and not through their actions or seeking one another out through something that happened in the film. From the trailers, I figured that the new characters would need the old ones to help at a certain point.
I could use your expertise.
You coming or what?
Like something happened and then they would have to meet them. But no, this film is just as much about the old characters as it is the new ones. They both have their own separate storylines that kind of converge about midway through. But again, the only reason that they ever meet is just out of coincidence. Sometimes they don't even have character introductions. The character will just show up and you're just supposed to roll with it. Oh, I guess this character is a part of the film now. The overall plot of the movie is based off of one of the dumbest plot twists in recent memory, that this little girl is a clone and this corporation wants her, but it's not because she's a clone. So spoilers, I guess, right now. It's because her mom was able to change her DNA after she was born. I can't, it's so hard to fathom because I can't even, like, I was locked in and I still could not tell you how this woman accomplished this. I will take some blame as to missing this information, but the film does exposition in the laziest and worst way possible. The movie opens with a now this news video. This specific scene, when you find out that the mother has changed the DNA within her child, it's told through a computer screen and webcam videos. It's just the laziest and worst way possible to do exposition. I want to meet the person that can stay locked in and focused because I have no idea how. It's so unengaging and boring, and I hate this trope in movies. Comparing it to the first Jurassic Park, when there's a huge exposition dump, it's used in a creative way where they're on a little ride and there's a cartoon showing you how they created the dinosaurs. So it works in both that world of the movie and for the audience. It's at least something different and a little bit more engaging than John Hammond just going to a scientist's lab and saying, this is how we did it. We grabbed this here and we inserted it and we did this. They were smart enough to know that the audience wouldn't be able to follow all this scientific dialogue. It used a cartoon, which made it more fun and engaging for the audience. Anyways, somehow the subplot with the bugs relates to the girl being a clone. Or not a clone, I don't know. Who cares? BD Wong wants to fix his mistake and, like, Jesus Christ. How many times can this guy fuck up? He's responsible for every disaster in each one of these films. And the fact that he gets a happy ending is laughable. The dialogue is also super cliched with lines like, hold on, and see, I told you everything was going to be all right, even though he never said that everything was going to be all right. Or it was just straight up
Cringe.
Laura Dern says, and I kid you not, he slid into my DMs. That's the moment when I became ashamed and embarrassed to be sitting in the theater watching this. Then later, Jeff Goldblum says in a scene that is only in here for him to say this line, Jurassic World, not a fan. Great one, Mr. Colin Trevorrow. You're so meta and clever. You would mention Jurassic World in your movie like that? Like that's brilliant. Like, we've never seen anything like this. Also, newsflash, he wasn't a fan of Jurassic Park either. That's the point of the first film. Have you seen it, Colin? Have you seen Jurassic Park? The new ones suck. We know this. Chris Pratt is boring. He used to be sarcastic and a bit charming in the first one, but now he's just boring action guy. Bryce Dallas Howard is not good in this. Neither is the young girl, but I can't blame her at all. She's trying. The script, it's not her fault, and I'm sure, you know, she probably has potential and could work in something else. The worst performance probably came from DeWanda Wise. She's a new character in this series. I don't think I've seen her in anything else, and to be fair, the dialogue is quite awful, but she cannot deliver it convincingly at all. The original cast is definitely the best part. Laura Dern and Jeff Goldblum are decent. Jeff Goldblum has one really good scene when he yells at the main antagonist to kind of goes over some main issues, like everything that he's said really in the past films, but it works again. Every time Jeff Goldblum has one of those scenes when he's explaining what's wrong with what everyone's doing, it's easily the best part of each film. After that point, he kind of just starts doing his own thing and forgets his character, which again is fine because Jeff Goldblum is pretty likable and funny, so whatever. Now, I've seen some say that this is nostalgia bait, but I kind of disagree. It is to a certain extent, but the characters have actual roles in the film, and it's not just a copy and paste of the original. Now, one film I would consider nostalgia bait is Ghostbusters Afterlife. It has the exact same third act as the original, with the old characters marketed as if they play big roles in the film, but in reality they just show up for 5 minutes in their uniforms to steal the spotlight in the end. That is what I consider nostalgia bait. It's marketed as these people are going to have big roles, and yet they really only show up for a brief amount of time. And in this film, the old characters actually have things to do, but it's just all terrible and uninteresting. Now, obviously, I'm just some 23-year-old white guy. I have no experience in directing or anything. I am a video editor, so pacing matters, I guess. I am not a professional in the film industry, so I can notice some things technically, but I will say that this film has some of the most boring and lifeless direction I've seen in a long time. The action all falls completely flat. None of the dinosaur stuff is at all exciting or interesting. I wouldn't say there was one scene where it was like I was like on the edge of my seat, where I was like tense or I was scared. Like even the Lost World, you have that moment in the fields with the raptors and you see their tails. That's a great scene. I think it's safe to say that that's probably because Steven Spielberg directed that movie and Colin Trevorrow is directing this one. So as far as directing and writing goes, Colin Trevorrow just keeps hitting the home runs, you know? Like, this guy can't miss. If you love terrible blockbusters and are fascinated by them like I am, definitely see it, especially in a theater. The reactions were so bizarre in my theater, so try and see it with a crowd maybe. It's a great, fascinating watch and your head will hurt. But I imagine that no one else is like this, so don't see it. But it really is remarkable how this film got made and how Colin Trevorrow got full creative reign with this franchise. Like, I guess Universal just didn't care after Jurassic World because it made so much money. But the fact that this one guy, they were just like, here, Jurassic Park, have it. Like, you just do what you want. Write whatever shit script and have your dinosaur fights that you for some reason love. He loves dinosaur team-ups for some reason. I don't understand it. It's very silly and stupid. It's astounding, and it needs to be studied. Like, I genuinely believe that someone needs to study what happened here with Colin Trevorrow getting this. In all honesty, I still haven't quite processed what I just watched, but the action sucked, nothing made sense, and Colin Trevorrow somehow makes films for a living.